Good Monday morning. Hey, there it is. Hey, welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and motorcycles and SUVs, the Kiefer dog, the neighbor, the camper, the pool, the adventures. Wow, I made a really nice video yesterday on how to install some rear saddlebag bars on my CVUST, and I don't think that thing ever published. I did shorties, but I did a whole full detailed video. Wow. Hey, it's Monday morning. Yeah, for the Monday morning chore, right? Getting back in the groove of going back to work and do what you got to do to make a living, right? You know that. Good morning to everybody watching my channel, and it's hot. We got a little breather yesterday, and but it's hot. Whew. Woo. A bit hot. It's just that time of year, and those Floridians, they got a little bit of a taste of the tropical season. We got pictures from my brother of the heavy winds and rains and the tidal, the increase of the water and all that good stuff, but everybody's okay. That's the good news. And as we trek over to the barn, it's always about bringing a morning conversation to a lot of my regulars that I appreciate reach out to me and support my channel, that keeps it going as I yabba dabba do. And all I can say right now is that car right there, wow, the baddest ass car I've ever owned that I've actually modded. I mean, wow. I mean, that thing is so much fun. I mean, wow. I just can't get over. I think that thing will beat my Hellcat. Now, of course, a Corvette, that's a fast car, but it's a whole different experience on how you how that car responds with that supercharger. It really has a lag. Hey, here's the money. Here's, I think it's Matthew, if I'm right, he's getting a $50 mailed to him. And Don's getting a 20. You know, Don brought up a good point. Don kind of personalized the conversation to me that, hey, is it really fair that you showed us where the money was and that we really didn't find it on our own? And I was kind of like, hey, look at the bikes here. I mean, I did a whole video yesterday on this install of the rear saddlebag bars. And I'm just noticing this morning, I don't think it ever took. I got a lengthy video of how I had to rearrange the whole shop to get the lift capable and to be able to work on my CVOST. I'm putting these rear saddlebag bar protectors, blah, blah, blah. And it was a great video, I think. So I'll probably have to try to republish it again. But I got all the bikes all cleaned up, everything rearranged. I got quite the collection. I really do. I just like, wow, this is such a nice collection. I kind of cleaned up my little work area as well. But back to Don. Don was saying, you know, hey, is it really right that we got the monies? Well, my response was, you guys watched all my videos, and I felt like I'll reward those and just keep on watching my video, because it really wasn't until the last video of the day on Friday, if you really watched my channel, that I finally gave away where the money was. So my position was, hey, you found it because you kept on looking and you kept on watching. So where is Kiefer dog? I don't know what he's up to, but who knows? It's always the Kiefer dog's always up to something. Where's Ginger? I didn't see Ginger, so that's kind of puzzling. Maybe she'll wander in here any second. We gotta get the fans going. Here's the Gold Rush that was kicked to the curb because I had to do a install on my my Chevy truck. I did that. I did a bunch of how-to videos. Not many, but I did some fun time. Yesterday morning, I just had to separate myself. Yesterday morning was kind of a challenging morning for me, and I literally just had to do a separation. So I thought the word of today could be separations, not reparations, separations. I thought that'll be a great word. Hey, a hi to Mitchell, who personally emailed me late last night. He is getting a new job today, and he's been with Goodyear for many years, and apparently he's in the division that builds the biggest tire in the world. Wow. But he claims that with some Goodyear's reorganizing, and he decided to raise his hand and go find a job somewhere else, and just not wait for the phone call or it's probably email anymore. You probably get an email of your termination for wherever you work these days. I didn't see Ginger. Probably, I don't know. Where is she? Did she go in the office? I don't know. So is she okay? That's always the concern to me, is being the guardian dog person. So yeah, hope you have a blessed day there, Mitchell, in your new job. works out for you, and I appreciate you sharing your personal information, and that's really cool. And he gave me some ideas talking about how the market, the doomer gloomers are truly going to be just in their heyday as this country is going to the toilet, supposedly. Stock market's crashing, or is it? Crypto's crashing, or is it? CEO Tavares, Carlos Tavares, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, he's going to possibly start getting rid of certain brands. There she is. Aw, what a good little girl. Good little girl. Okay, so let's get you upstairs so that this guy here doesn't bug you. So Mitchell brought up some talking points, and I thought that's a great idea. And I read about this last week, and just so much is on my mind all the time that I kind of forgot about that article I read at 2 a.m. in the morning, a Wall Street Journal article, and it's about how Peugeot, if you know Stellantis, which bought out the Fiat Chrysler Automotive Group that carries the Ram, Dodge, Jeep, the Maserati, Ferrari, I think, is it Lamborghini as well? I'm not really sure all that other, Alfa Romeo, the Peugeot. There's a few other brands. So you got a pretty big mixture of brands of products. And so now the focus is what are they going to do with the Chrysler brand? Because Chrysler right now, they're down just to the Pacifica for their whole product line, I believe. And they go to Dodge, you're just down to the car side. Oh, poor Kiefer, you just kind of hacked something up. Dodge side, they're down to the Dodge Hornet SUV that's supposed to be Mr. Badass little SUV, which I don't think many people get excited about that. And of course, you've got the Dodge Durango. And I think the Dodge side, well, as you know, the new Dodge Charger's going to be showing up here probably late August, September would be my guess. Could be wrong on that. But then they got the Ram and the Jeep brand. But what they say in the industry is the Ram and Jeep are really the money makers for them. Have been, but that's kind of changed with the dynamics of the automotive world being more challenged today to sell cars than it was before because of everything that's so expensive. So how the separations, how does the separations conversation, how do we take that word? Well, I think that was what you have to say to yourself is that, just like I talked about, it's a separation of Dodge and Chrysler possibly being sold off, possibly, I think, or just terminating them at all. Do they separate themselves from Jeep and Ram? I don't think that'll happen. But for us as individuals, here's a challenge. And I know people that are very into their work and their career and their family. It's so challenging to separate yourself from your work to family. And that's very challenging. And in my life, it's been very challenging for me because I've always been so driven to work. And I mean, I'm not embellishing here. I worked 6-7 days a week since I got out of high school. And it just isn't until recent years that I really have had the more flexibility and have the attitude that I can go do something else without feeling guilty I should be working. And that's a huge challenge. And it's a huge hardship on relationships when you have the relationship of one person is always gone and always working. And there's a fine line there. And people know. People know that of my age and even a little younger that if you have a partner in life that all they do is work all the time, it's very hard and challenging from not you becoming separated from one another, where you just really truly grow apart. And that's a challenge. And it's an extreme challenge for me as I progress and the love of what I do and what I really get into. And I'm sure that some of you on my channel can relate with this. I'm sure there's many people who can say, yeah, I was divorced. I separated from my first wife because it's just we grew apart. We didn't grow together, and we had but no choice to separate from each other. But also I think to myself is, how do you separate yourself from your car and the technology? And once again, it's the EV age, where the whole drive of this city administration, the green agenda, ideology, is trying to push the separation of the ice age to the EV age. And so many people just don't like it. I can't emphasize enough. This car right here, oh my gosh. I drove this car yesterday. I probably should be in jail. I mean, I'm not lying to you. Probably should be in jail. And I had one of those days yesterday where I just had to go disappear. And what you learn in life when you have something going on in your life, as far as you can do is turn off your phone and just leave. And that's what I did. I turned off both my phones and I left. And even my daughter was like, I knew she'd be calling me. So I needed separation time. And oh my gosh. So I took this car out and I had so much fun with this car. And I drove this car like you can't believe. And I wound this car up. I hit speeds. This thing, oh my gosh, the exhaust note, the rev matching, just an all-out badass, incredible car. And I smoked the Tesla. This guy's a Tesla. It wasn't the Plaid, but I had a guy in Tesla, man, and I'm just telling you straight out, I just pulled that guy over and over again. And I had some other guys in cars that really weren't much of anything. But this thing, I did about a 200-mile drive yesterday, and I was down more of the southern part of Virginia on all these back roads. And oh my gosh, I would just be in this thing at 50 miles an hour when I pass a guy. I would just downshift this thing, and it's like a rocket ship. And I would just be at stupid speeds instantly. And what's incredible about this Mustang is its instant throttle response. It's instant. You don't get that in this Corvette. The Corvette Z06, it's a weird type of acceleration. When you nail it, it's a lull. It's like you get into it, and your body's ready for that pullback moment. And then the car takes off. So it's kind of freaky on driving this car and healing this car because it has that supercharger lag, not turbocharged lag, if you know what that is. So this car is a totally different type of animal compared to that Mustang. The Mustang is actually more fun because of that interior, and you hear so much of that exhaust. And like I say, it's instantaneous, instant. You nail it, and this whole car the whole front end just lurches. It launches. Oh my gosh. And so for me, I was even thinking to myself, after I was really in that drive coming back home, thank God they put this car together right, because it would have been so easy for me to have maybe something broken, because that car really hasn't been driven since I put that supercharger on. And so it really kind of hit me like a brick in the head when I was about 50 miles away from home, thinking, as hard as I'm driving this car today and just running this thing like it's never been driven before, and probably the hardest I've driven one of my Mustangs per se. And I just thought to myself, man almighty, this could be a separation of me and this car, because I'm going to be calling a tow truck to get back home. But no, that wasn't the case. That car was flawless. Here is Mr. Brian showing up to come to work today. And my daughter and him cleaned that whole car, and he just loves it. They waxed it, cleaned it. That's what I did yesterday. I really took the time to clean all the bikes up. I wiped them all down, actually polished all of them, and really got them looking really pretty. And just to share on how much I love my vehicles and care about my cars, I have had a comment before by one of my subscribers that his position was, I don't take care of myself. And I was taken back, wow, I don't get that. I mean, sure, my cars get dirty over time, but I mean, I do the best to take care of them, and having everything outside is a whole different ball game, being that it's very challenging to keep cars clean when when they're outside all the time. But I've been taking my bigger vehicles to the car wash, just because it's so much easier. And how many people can separate themselves from cleaning the car, hand washing the car by themselves, versus going to the car wash and let the car wash do it? And oh man, there's a huge separation on people that will do that and won't do it. Especially when it comes to their pride and joy vehicle. Will they take their pride and joy vehicle? Most no way. There's no way I'm ever going to do that, because the way they clean your car will scratch the hell out of it. For me, the bigger cars, bigger trucks, I don't care. Taking my Corvette there, it's too low. I wouldn't be excited about that. Taking my Gold Rush here, that'd be hard for me to separate from me taking care of myself. And the Mustang, but those are so low, you have to go to a matte type of style car wash over the rail system, because it's just too low. Oh my gosh, I just can't emphasize enough that. So for me, if you really watch my channel and follow my channel, you'll know that last year I got rid of my GT500s. Last year I traded both my GT500s in, and with the anticipation that the next GT500 is going to be the baddest ass vehicle to date, even though the GTD is the vehicle that's going to be the baddest ass Ford Mustang to date, but extremely expensive. I mean, very, very expensive. So for me, I feel like even though I loved that first GT500 I bought, and it had so much close to home of who I am and where it came from, being it was built on my mother's birthday. I bought it for my birthday in February 2020. And also just the pre-pandemic, and then my first ever real Mustang supercharged, the GT500 brand. I had the GT350s, but those were all the Voodoo motors and naturally aspirated. So to have that, and then to sell it, and then to buy it back, but then in the end to sell it again, trust me, I know for anybody out there watching my channel, that was really, that was hard to do. But I just had this inclination, this gut feeling that the next round of these Mustangs is going to be badass. And that Dark Horse is. And what's incredible is, with that extra weight in that car in the front end, I'm blown away on how when I get in that car, that whole front end, it lifts, the whole car lifts up. I mean, it's just crazy. You can see it in the one video when I followed my daughter going to the dealership to get the sticker on the car, and you can just see how this thing launches. It is just wow. One of my subscribers feels like I really need to take the cars to the track and show the difference of the two cars. Or I think to take the GT, I should say the Dark Horse, I call it the Whipple Horse, and the Gold Rush up to a nice roll, just a nice area where it's safe, and do a roll race. And don't get too crazy. Just start off at like 20 to 30 miles an hour and just shut it down at 80 miles an hour, just so we don't get ourselves in big trouble. And remember, this is a stick shift car. But I think this car would beat the Gold Rush. Oh my gosh. And that's a stage one. If it had stage two, I honestly think that I would crash that car. It would just bust loose and be like, wow. Yeah, so the separations of us, and that's what's going on more than ever in our society is, we're becoming separated more than ever, but yet we're so connected with every freaking thing we have. And how do you separate yourself? That's just what I was talking about. Is the challenge in life is the separation is very, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. If you have to separate yourself from going to work and being dedicated to your work, but you've separated yourself from family. Who doesn't know stories of having the child that has to go to the basketball game, football game, baseball game, birthday party, whatever it may be. But your obligations to your job create a separation where you have to be at that job. You have to travel, whatever it may be, especially if you're military, if you're a high-ranking individual in a company that manages people. How many people do you know that have these stories of the separation from the father to the son or daughter, or the mother to the father, it's a mother, daughter, something, whatever it may be. But it's just that total separation of a time where you should be there, but you can't. And who doesn't have the challenge of living in one state and everybody else lives somewhere else, and having that separation of family time? Because family time is huge. I mean, that's the most powerful thing you can have in your life is family. But for some reason, we're living in a society more than ever that promotes the wackiness of what family is versus what we know it is. And it's just, oh my gosh, it's maddening. And that's a challenge. I've said it many days now that the marketing blitz like never ever seen to promote Kamala Harris to be the next president of our country is going to be like you've never ever seen. And how do you separate yourself from hearing people make all these claims of how great this individual is, that for most of us, I think we'll all agree that I just don't see that in that person. And then it creates a separation between the two different parties like never ever seen. Because that's all that's going on now in social media is, it's the constant now bashing the conservative or the constant bashing of the liberal for who they think should be the next president's country. And then that's very challenging on how you separate yourself from having a friend or family member that gets all caught up in all this frickin' political stance, and how you still are friends and family when the stories of the separation of families and friends because of political views and ideology. I think most, at the end of the day, we just seem to have common sense that we all want the same thing. I mean, don't we all want the best for our country? Don't we all? I mean, here's the thing. Over there in Paris, China and America are tied for the gold medals, 19-19. That was as of last night. Now, as far as the most medals, the United States right now has the most medals. Some pretty intense competition. I've had very mixed feelings of the Olympics in recent years, and I just really haven't followed it like I used to when I was younger. And in some of it, just because I feel like the personalities that show up, they disrespect our country, but yet they get to wear the frickin' USA, they get to wear the USA flag on their shirt and represent us, but I feel like, but you're not representing us. You're representing yourself to promote something that's wacky. And it just kind of gives you a foul taste in your mouth. I'm sure many here on my channel have the same thoughts. As I talked about before, I was a youth basketball coach for years, and once LeBron James started running his mouth, I really became the person of like, I just don't want to be participating in a sport where these professional athletes disrespect our country and disrespect me. I just don't want to support that. So it's a separation. Here you go. See? Get you some freedom. Isn't that kind of what this country is all about? Isn't that what we're concerned about? It seems like one party is more concerned about the freedom of our countries versus the other party is more concerned about how the government can create more entitlement programs and give more stuff away. I mean, it's just such the opposite of what one party stands for versus the other. Now, I get it. Both parties are at fault because the parties of our country should be giving us what we all have been taught and what the Constitution says. But then you get all these wackies that show up and they want to get my water bottle open. They're so hard. I'm going to get water all over my shirt. It's incredible. As you get older, I tell the wife all the time, it's like, as you get older in life, how do you open things up? I mean, sincerely, if you go to Costco, how are you going to, as you get older in life, how do you do anything? Everything's so packaged and protected. I get some water. We'll take a moment, look at the Road Glide, the CVO 2024 Road Glide. This is my baddest ass roll I've ever owned. It really is. And I'm so disappointed that the whole video I spent an hour on making. That was like a 2-hour project. I didn't mind it. It's just a great outlet. And that's the thing for me. I have a lot of how-to videos. I don't think people know that. I have a lot of how-to videos on my video channel. I'm sorry if I'm not talking, but it's just because I need water. It's really hot, humid. It just sucks it just sucks everything out of your body. And if you're not drinking a lot of water at this time of year, you're paying dearly. So back to the separation. For me, I have a lot of how-to videos. And that gives me a time. I love taking on projects and tasks. And I guarantee there's so many subscribers that are on my channel that are the same way. They just love to take on projects and tasks because it separates you from your daily routine. It separates you from the challenges of life. And what's the challenges of life? The challenges of life is being in a relationship and having a stable relationship. The challenge of life is making enough money to pay the bills. Challenge in life is to take care of yourself and be in good health. Challenge in life is having family around you that is challenged in their own health. Challenge in our life is having relationships and having friends and family, their relationships that go sour. And then the list goes on and on and on. And for us, how do you separate yourself from all the things that drag you down physically, emotionally? What do you do? And I've talked about it so many times that my outlet in my life has always been these vehicles. That's always been my separation of me getting away from my job, from my relationship, for me just feeling like I have freedom. When you get on a motorcycle and you start riding, you just have the most incredible sensation of being like you're the pioneer guy riding a horse from the founders of this country, where you're just free, especially if you're out in the real country where you're all by yourself riding down the road. Not so much when you're in heavy traffic, people are tailgating you. No, that's not really the motorcycle experience. Motorcycle experience is getting up in the morning and you go west and you find the open country and you start riding and you start figuring it all out. Or you go out late in the afternoon and you see the sunset as you come back in. I mean, it's just an incredible experience. It's just like so many people that have passion for the cars that they own and trucks that they take the time to take care of them, and their pride and joy and their separation is them being able to get behind the wheel of that vehicle that they work so hard all their life to be able to own from their hard works and monies, and Getting the blessing from the spouse, yeah, that's a challenge. That's a huge separation in relationships. That's a huge problem in my life. I mean, I'll just tell you straight up. For my wife and I, that's a huge separation. It's not a good one. I mean, I will tell you straight up. I have sacrificed a lot to have all of this. Is it really worth it? I mean, in so many ways. So I sometimes just think, you know what? Just screw it. Get rid of everything. Just go back to the basics. And just only have a few things. Will the wife be happier? Yeah, probably. Will I be happier? That's not really who I am. I like to have, I've always have had lots of cars and trucks and motorcycles throughout my life. So I've always have had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vehicles. I mean, I've always have had that for the last 30 years. So for me, that's a hard separation. Yeah, have I lost things? I have. Is that a total downer? It is. Yeah. Is it a failure? It is. And then do you have a separation from those experiences? That, who doesn't know stories that when everything's beautiful and great, everything's beautiful and great. But once things kind of start changing and the challenges are lie on the table and uncertainties are right there with it, and you're going through financial challenges, whatever it may be, the true colors show up. Who hasn't been through this? And the separation begins because it was all about the money, or was it? I mean, yeah, who hasn't had this conversation? Your relationship, is it really more all about the money? And it's sadly, as you get older in life, it really is. I get more water. Because I know people personally that will never get divorced or be separated because they're concerned about their wealth. They'll have to give up half their wealth. How many people here know of family and friends that are in terrible relationships and they just won't get divorced or get separated because they know it's going to be about the money grab. It's going to then be, and I've witnessed this. I've seen it happen where the one spouse is not happy and it just isn't working, but they won't separate because it's all about the financial commitment and the reward at the end that they think they're going to get. And that's what life's all about. It's always about the reward. That's what we all strive for, is we hope for tomorrow to be a better day. But I get a kick out of these gloomer doomers. All the prophets that tell you and I on these YouTube channels that everything's going south, this is what's going to happen. But I always tell my friends, family, even my daughter, I say, why can't these guys give me the winning lotto ticket numbers for tomorrow? You can tell everybody in your YouTube channel how the housing markets, everything's going to be, they tell you everything that's going to happen tomorrow, but yet they can't tell you today's winning numbers to pick for tomorrow's big payout. Where's that? Oh, I know there's YouTube channels out there where people get a lot of attention where they can tell you how they know how to play the numbers, and you'll be so rich just like them once you buy their book or once you watch all their videos. Yeah, whatever. Right. So for the separation of us, what's the biggest thing that separates us? A lot of times, I think it's money. Sure, I guarantee there's people that click on my channel and they see all these cars and trucks. One of my YouTube subscribers, and I should say one of the YouTube subscribers. Some people on these YouTube channels, they're like, these are my people. I own them. No. So on my YouTube channel, somebody that decided to be a subscriber, I reached out and I talked about on Saturday morning about how you just have to, wonder why these other YouTubers get all these hits. I mean, I see these other guys post a video, 6 minutes in, they've had close to 1,000 views. You get into 30 minutes in, they're at 20,000 views. You go into 2-3 hours later, they're at 50, 60, 80,000 views. Now, Michael Bordeaux guy, he actually is outdoing Tucker Carlson. Think that through. How is this guy getting more publicity than Tucker Carlson than me? I mean, wow. So let me see if I have it here for you. So I actually saved this just so you can see it. It's always the Iceman wanting to challenge the others, but I just don't believe it. So here's this guy, Michael Bordeaux. You see him right here? This guy, in 11 hours, 111,000 views. So he's now telling everybody stock market. Look at Tucker Carlson. he had 215,000 views in 8 hours. So this guy here is borderline. Does anybody really know who this guy really is? How the hell is he doing that? How the hell is that guy? And he talks about everything now. It's everything. He tells you that the McDonald's is raising. I mean, he's now like, it's like, but you can see all this stuff just by looking at regular TV. I don't get that guy's channel. How all these people flock this guy to be told stuff that you can just read off the internet. I don't get it. But the whole point is, the subscriber reached out to me and said, the reason your channel doesn't explode or do well is because it's boring. And I thought, wow, boring? Really? My channel's boring? I mean, whatever YouTuber has like 40 vehicles sitting in their driveway. Whatever YouTuber shows how-to videos. Whatever YouTuber shows trips to Florida, Tennessee. Whatever YouTuber shows me riding my motorcycle, my daughter riding my motorcycle, or even going with some friends and me videoing motor. I mean, I can go through the list. How many YouTubers show the actual me going to the dealership, walking into the dealership, talking to salespeople, test driving the car? And that's what I hear all the time is, oh, if you just did personal reviews on every car you own and motorcycle you own, your channel would be huge. But I've done that. Don't you? But I don't think you really watch my channel. And because I think it gets, too lengthy. I get it. And that's the thing. I get it. I talk a lot. A lot of people think the 10-minute, 15-minute video would be more successful than your 30, 40-minute yabba dabba gabba long video. But yet I have people reach out to me personally and say, I love your channel. I love the interaction. And it makes my day when I get up in the morning and watch your channel and get things going. But then I hear the others out there saying it's a boring channel, man. It's just nothing there. Wow. How many people have you seen go by a 2015 Camaro Z28 with 16,000 miles on it that went to a dealership with not even thinking I'd be able to buy it, and I pulled the deal off? I mean, I can go through the list of all the things that I've bought that in so many ways the deal should never have gone down. How many videos do you see out there where guys, I mean, I know there's a gazillion videos out there of guys crashing their side-by-sides, but I got video of me going down, hauling ass down the back roads where eventually I flipped my freaking Talon. I mean, I just don't, once again, it's me, it's the scammers. I truly believe that there's a ton of YouTubers out there that have figured out how to scam YouTube, the advertisers, where they're getting all these, as I've talked about it many times. So, yeah, right. Why continue to harp on that, right? Yeah, on the separations conversation. So, here's the thing. Does Chrysler, does the CEO of the Stellantis brand create the separation of the products? Does the EV market continue to be a challenge and it's separated more than they thought? I mean, even though that there's a lot of it's gaining traction. I mean, the EV market, BYD just is cutting a deal with Uber to be the sole direct seller to all the Uber drivers. So Uber apparently is behind the scenes in Europe, Latin America, other parts of the world. Uber and BYD are partnering up, and the drivers are going to be able to lease these electric vehicles, which that's huge. Because you know as well as I do, what's the biggest cost to an Uber driver besides himself? It's the fuel. It's the energy it takes to move the vehicle to go drop people off and pick people up. And so you know as well as I do, if you're an Uber person and you can now cut your energy costs by half to 2/3, that's a huge raise for you. So BYD, which is growing by leaps and bounds, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett invested heavily in that company. He's being rewarded heavily. But this country's administration is not going to allow BYD to come to this country because they're going to offer electric vehicles at a substantially lower price than what the infrastructure is trying to build out. That's not happening as fast as they thought they would. GM has put on hold building an electric battery factory with cars. Ford's put on hold. So the big three are all kind of pulling back and slowing things down. So BYD could really, if they ever had the opportunity to be in our country, it would rewrite everything on the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. I'll talk about Kamala Harris now more than ever. The reality, the separation. The good old Sean Fay, the president of the UAW, this guy would be looking pretty lousy if the Chinese are able to get into this market. And once again, because of the tariffs and this administration's goals of making this country all green, energy sufficient and reliant, and infrastructure, they don't want these guys in our country because they're going to build things and sell them to us for a far cheaper price. So for you as an American, you got to pay more for everything. When does a person separate themselves from a party that has jacked the hell out of the price for everything, and you think that's a great thing, and you want to keep it going? I mean, it just blows you away that you're happy that you have to separate yourself from doing things you used to do because now it's too expensive. You're hearing stories more and more as time progresses of the restaurants and businesses that are feeling now the separation of the customer to their business because people can't afford it. I was out there at the horse place. If you watched my video from Friday with Brian and Julia going out there and showing off Prancer to Brian for the first time. That was a great video. You should watch it. And the owner there, she pulled me aside and said, "How you doing?" I said, "It's challenging. The business I'm in is changing, and it's down. The business is down. That's the fact." And she's like, "Yeah, for me, it's very challenging." So for her business is all about leasing horses. Her business is all about giving lessons. Her business is all about boarding. Well, guess what? The amount of people wanting lessons isn't the same as it used to be. It's less. The amount of people wanting to lease a horse from her, that is less. The amount of people wanting to board a horse for her, that is less. So she's had a separation of people that have always kept her in business, in a healthy business, but that's a whole new separation. How many people right now are leaving jobs? I know of a personal friend, Muhammad, that worked at Dulles Dodge, that became frustrated because it was more challenging to make money, and he separated himself and went to a Toyota dealership. But now he's reached out to me and he's telling me it's not good. So he's separated himself from a long-term relationship at a dealership that he had a great customer base with, only to go somewhere else and the grass isn't greener. The grass is actually drier. But that's a separation. That's what creates separation. It's all about the money. All right, that's it. I'm done. I talk a lot. I get that. And what's the next adventure for me? I'm trying to go to Florida. I really need to get back down to see my mother and father, and I really want to be down there before the crazy season of hurricane season really starts to set in. I've been very lucky. Most years I'm down there in August, and I'm not in that hurricane time frame. Close, but September is usually, in my eyes, the worst. September, October, I think you have greater chances of hurricanes, and they do. And so I'm trying to get out of here. Can I get out of here by Thursday or Friday? What do we do? What do we take? That's a whole other conversation. Part of me is I'll take the Bison truck with my 4 motorcycle hauler and take 4 bikes down. I need to take 3 down. I got to bring 1 back and really see how this Chevy Bison really pulls compared to my other bigger trucks. Does that play out? I don't know. Very challenging. It's a lot of money, and it's time. It's me having to rely on other people taking care of things while I'm gone. So does it play out? I don't know. So that's it. I'll be putting Brian and Matthew, if I'm correct, Matthew's money in the mail today, and only hopefully that $50 bill makes it, because I'll be very disappointed if he says, "I never got the money, man." I'll be like, that's not good, because that's a lot of money. And yeah, do I now have to pay people to watch my channel? Yeah, the separation, right? The separation. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching my channel. God bless, have a great day, and stay tuned for more adventures on Ice Age TV.